Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, today's show, there's going to be no sound on today's show, and that's because I'm playing with a friend, helping him get all set up, an org member. I had already made all that money over the stream on the weekend, so I'm just kind of helping out and helping him get armor and guns and all that fun stuff. I mean, I do have close to 200k at this point, so you know, with the economy and what's purchasable in game right now, not going to run out of money anytime soon. But you know, it was funny to kind of be a crew member on somebody else's ship, and in this case, you know, we're going to the unregulated sites here, there, everywhere, picking up goods like distilled spirits, stims, and food, and then bringing it back to Grim Hex, keeping the Grim Hexicans happy. And you know, a few things occurred to me while we were doing this. One of which was the most immediate thing is right in the beginning, the outside of the station was surrounded by pirates. It seems that there's a new system in place where pirates are spawning here, there, and everywhere. We saw that, of course, yesterday when I got attacked by the pirate caterpillar. But outside of stations as well, they'll sometimes spawn, and at first, I was kind of disappointed in the turret gameplay because, of course, I'm hopping in his ship, so I hop in the turret. And I was kind of disappointed, but then I thought, you know what, realistically, I mean, if we were going to use the turret, you'd want to be shooting from a more stable platform. So he'd probably be heading away from them. He wouldn't be stopping to fight like 20 pirates. And so chances are, if any of them gave chase, I'd be in a much better position to shoot them down with the turret. And the turret really isn't the primary armament of this ship, so I mean, turret gameplay is something that definitely needs a lot of work, definitely something that could use improvement, especially with the Hammerhead coming out in September, fingers crossed. So I kind of feel like, I mean, I do acknowledge that there is an issue there, but I kind of feel like let's wait and see how things shake out over the next couple of patches before I really kind of dig into turret gameplay a little too much. I kind of want to see how things kind of form up. But one of the things that occurred to me while we were running this cargo to and fro was, you know, obviously big fan of Drake's ships. It suddenly occurred to me, why doesn't the Herald work as a profession ship? Now, I mean, of course, the hacking, the e-war systems that are not in game yet, but technically cargo is in game. Now, of course, there are issues with the Herald. You seemingly can't exit it and re-enter it in 0G without being either brutally injured or killed outright, so that is a bit of an issue. But when going from place to place within the system where you're landing, I mean, the Herald does work, the ladder does work, you can use it, you can land, you can put out your landing gear, you can take off, all these things work. And the Herald really is just another cargo ship, right? Except its cargo is virtual rather than physical. So in as much as we go to a station and say purchase, I don't know, 20 units of aluminum to then take to Olisar and sell, truthfully, we could be going to that same mining hub and just say, I want to buy 20 gigs of planetary survey reports, and then you just take those to Olisar and sell them, or you take them to Levski and sell them, or wherever. Perhaps you take them to Grim Hex and sell them. So to me, it's kind of odd that at least the idea of moving data between locations, I mean, it seems like all the groundwork for that is kind of technically here. And I mean, you could put it in at a very basic level, sorry, and then just say, hey, you know, we realize that this is not the ideal, but this gets the ship kind of up and running and doing what it's supposed to do, and we're going to iterate on this in the future at some point. But this kind of gives the Herald, you know, something to do. When you really stop and think about it, there's a lot of like really easy things that the Herald can do in the universe the way it's currently set up. If you look at, say, a crash site on the surface of a planet, if you kind of get the Herald down there, you park near the site, and then you trigger an event where, you know, much like if you, let's say you're going to a crash site in any ship and it says, go get this piece of cargo, come back. The first marker you'll get, it'll say, go to this crash site. So you go to the crash site, then it triggers once you get there, and the marker changes and it says, okay, this is the cargo we want you to retrieve. You pick it up, you put it in your ship, you fly away. But with the Herald, you could go park at the crash site, either in space or on the surface of a planet, and then the trigger could simply be a notice that pops up on your screen and it says, now downloading data from ship's data recorder, or now surveying wreck site, and then you kind of take that information after you've copied it, and then you fly back to deliver it to Olisar or Grim Hex or Levski or wherever it's requested. And just the idea of moving around a non-physicalized cargo, it seems like it would be kind of a lot less complex to do than, you know, looking at, especially what we were looking at yesterday. We're talking about arranging cargo, placing it within your ship and all that. With the Herald, the cargo once again is virtual, so you really wouldn't have to worry about any of those things. You would simply have to move numbers from column A to column B and be able to do that kind of dynamically depending on the situation. Now, of course, none of this would ever have to be final, right? Like, obviously in the future, we all hope that the Herald's going to have a much more complex and a much more rich type of gameplay, right? But for right now, the Herald is kind of a dead ship, if you know what I mean. Can't really get you to too many places that any other ship can't get you to, and unlike the others that can either fight or haul something, the Herald just it has nothing to do, right? It's kind of a dead ship. And so I think that it kind of seems like, you know, we could deliver something reasonably quickly that would give the Herald a job, give the Herald something to do, and then say, look, we know that this isn't the finished gameplay that the Herald owners expect, but this will give you something to do with the ship pending a much deeper and much more involved development that'll give you a much richer experience down the road. But at least for right now you have something to do with this ship. I think that creating missions like that, especially the ones where you're, say, scanning a wreck site, or maybe you just have to get to within a certain distance of a wreck site, and then it begins to automatically download the data off the black box, but you have to stay within 2 kilometers, and maybe some pirate fighters pop up and chase you around. I mean, creating missions like that would also, in the end, create gameplay for like exploration ships that are out now or are coming out soon, you know, ships that can then go to those sites and fulfill some of those missions as well. I think it seems like it would be something nice to add, that really the foundation for it is pretty much all in game already. I just feel that, you know, within the current framework of the missions, even if you're not going to go and do the whole, okay, buy data here, sell it on there, because really, truthfully, that's not the ideal of what we're looking for the Herald. And that's probably nowhere close to what we would want in terms of gameplay. But the actual missions themselves, being able to say, if you're in a Herald, or like, what is it, the 315P, which is the exploration ship, the exploration version of the 300, if you could then take these ships to these various sites, and, you know, let's say the exploration ship could scan that site, it could just trigger the scan as it arrives there, and of course, as the game fleshes out, we can put in much more involved systems. Or the Herald, when it arrives at a wreck site, can immediately begin downloading the black box. Of course, as the game develops, these things become richer. It requires the guy to, you know, sit there at the secondary control seat and actually interact with the black box maybe play some kind of mini game to unlock it and then begin downloading the data, or for someone to actually operate the scanners on the 315. But I think kind of getting these things in there sooner rather than later would kind of help these ships out and give them more something to do, because I mean, you know, I have a variety of ships, so I have plenty to do, but if someone's out there and they just own a Herald or a 315 or something along those lines, it can be kind of, you know, kind of depressing to get in the game and kind of have a ship that really just can't do anything right now, especially when it's flyable. Anyways, that's, you know, just a thought that I was having while I was playing with a buddy here and helping him make some cash. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.